This episode is going to be all about our C-stub diesel engine, a Volvo Penta MD1B, Mike Delta 1 Bravo. It's a great old Volvo Penta engine, an old diesel engine about 45 years old, and when we bought the boat, when we purchased this boat here, we knew the engine was C-stub. That was something that we found out on our little do-it-yourself survey right away. There's no movement at all. Nothing. Enjoy. Okay, so working on the engine again. As you can see, the flywheel has a little bit of play that I can still move. This here doesn't move, and the decompression lever does not go up at all. So no matter what I try, I cannot bring it into the upright position. So I was trying to move it a little bit, you know, see if it would make any movement at all, but no, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Seems to be rusted. Also rusted into place here, and if I apply a little bit of pressure, actually exact the right level, the way it should be, the way it's supposed to be, between minimum and maximum. So there's the upper and lower mark. I was right within between. So there's still oil in the engine. So the lower crankshaft is still turning, but the cylinder head isn't. And we get her back to a point where she will turn over. So after I've been able to move the engine again a little bit, I went almost all the way around. Now she's stuck again, isn't moving at all. So I'll take that off again. So as you can see, I took here the wood panel off to have easier access, and then also here the cockpit floor on the other side. So that should be now a pretty good setup to get going and get most of it out. So I loosened that up already, and I have been spraying the valves with WD-40 like a madman, hoping it would make its way down into the cylinder head and loosen something up. So I was trying to take the injector out to blast a lot of oil, WD-40 and diesel into the cylinder head, and that didn't work either. It's completely rusted into place, so I had the bolts off, and the cover plate here didn't do anything. So plan now is to take it all apart. Air filter has to come off, basically everything has to come off. But before I do that, it's lunchtime. Lunchtime. Karolina made me a nice sandwich. So, oh boy, that's a good thing here in Germany. Like, you would not believe the breakfast meat, the bread. It's so awesome. Love it. Okay, guys, we tried pretty much everything to loosen up the engine, soaking her, you know, through the valves. And the problem was I couldn't get the injector out no matter what I tried. And we got to a point where I could turn her a little bit, but she wouldn't go over top dead center. She was hitting something inside the cylinder. The piston is not coming all the way up. So we're at a point now where we have to go the distance and take it all apart and see what's actually the problem inside the cylinder head, why the piston isn't coming up at all. So I downloaded the manual. So the Volvo Penta MD1 Bravo engine is a 1-cylinder. It also has there's a 2 and a 3-cylinder version of that engine. So it says remove cylinder head, empty out cooling system, not applicable, it's just raw water cooling system. Remove the rocker arm covers, remove the air cleaners, so there's only one. Do that, remove delivery pipe, leak off, and the delivery line, which is basically right there at the injector. And then loosen hoses from the thermostat housing and remove the exhaust manifold. So then disconnect the oil pipe from the rocker arm shaft and the attaching screws to the rocker arm bearing brackets, and mark them before you remove them, so you place them back into the correct position, and then loosen, remove cylinder head nuts carefully, straighten out the oil pipe to the rocker arm shaft. There's a little oil pipe coming up, and you have to turn that very carefully without breaking it to the forward position, and then lift up the cylinder head straight. After that, remove the cylinder head gasket, and you have access to it, and that's pretty much it. And then put everything correctly back together. So that's what we are going to do now. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. So never did that before. Let's take the air filter off. That's pretty greasy. Clean it properly. Loosened up now. Well, almost. These two guys are now under tension again. And there is in the manual a certain way of how you want to tighten them back up and the torque. So I think it's at 11, or was it now, 11 kpm, which equates to about 108 Newton meters, give or take. Yeah, something like that. Now these two guys here, and then we have it, and I can pull the head. Look at this moment of truth. I hope I have not forgotten anything. Oh my god. Now, this thing, I don't know if I can lift it over here. Not really. You can see the piston in the upper position, at least a little bit. So, come on. Holy crap. That doesn't look good. That thing's not supposed to look like that. Oh boy, what the heck is all of this? Holy moly. Oh. It almost looked to me like something might have decomposed inside the cylinder head or so. Well, if so, it for sure was way too far gone to make it out what it could have been. I mean, this could have not ever functioned like that ever again. Absolutely terrible. So I was going all the way down, coming back up, and then she would hit top dead center right there somewhere. So yeah, time to clean her out. And the valves are not any prettier. I mean, it comes off though. Yep. Boy. Alright, so this is a head gasket. So that's a honing tool that I'm going to use. The upper 1 centimeter or half an inch of the cylinder head from the inside, where the piston was rusted into place, has corroded really badly the cylinder head walls, and that is why the piston is not going up anymore into the top dead center position. Showtime, let's hone something. I think it's 51mm to 177. Our cylinder head has a diagonal of 89mm, so it's right in the middle, perfect. I will give that a good scrub from the inside. Hopefully that will fix our problem and the engine won't be stuck anymore. Much better. Now she goes a full turn, so that looks way better. Very smooth. No problem. Ready to be assembled again. I was shaking the cylinder head, and this is all the rusty metal that came out of these holes around the cylinder that are there for the cooling water. That needs to come out. Trick is to work them evenly. I'm sure there are better ways of doing it, certainly, but that one is easy, cheap. There comes number 1, and somewhat worked okay. Okay, so got all my parts here somewhat in order, and I put some notes on what goes where. That is a new cylinder head gasket and all the other gaskets of the engine, from manifold to everything else you have. This is for the manifold. It looks a little bit different. I would assume that this goes on somewhat like this. I'm guessing. Yeah, that looks about right. That's a new one. New gasket coming on. It's more like that, I guess. That looks about right. So, what we're doing today is torquing the cylinder head screws. So there's a certain order that we have to follow here. As you can see, this is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and the bigger ones here are going to be 11 kpm, which equals to be on our range 108 Newton meter, and then 5 and 6 are smaller sockets, so these ones were 19 millimeter and the other ones are 17 millimeters, and they go with what was it now, 4.5 kpm. This is which equates to 44 Newton meter. So we'll see that we don't screw this up. So I have this here on my wrench already set up for 108 newtons. As you can see, coming down here is the 100, and then I dialed it up to 8, so it's 108 Newton meter. We'll see that we get those 4 main bolts, and then we change over to the 17 millimeter and go with 44 Newton meter. Yeah. There. Good. So you can hear that click when the torque wrench is letting go, right? There. Torque value. Good. There she is. Now I can turn her again. Decompression up. And there she goes. So whenever you take the cylinder head off, especially when you put a new gasket in, like what we did, you need to readjust the play of the valves. So that is something very, very important. Make the rockers moving properly, opening and closing the valves. It's hard to turn over the compression, but yeah, it works. Now the engine was turning again, but unfortunately had very little compression. She was making white smoke through the exhaust that smelled like unburned diesel, so clearly we didn't have a fuel issue, we had a compression issue. Now that was really too bad, but I should have known better. If you do a job, do it right. I should have taken her all apart, including the cylinder and the piston, to have a good look at the piston rings and the piston itself. Fortunately, I still had another head gasket laying around, so that was a good thing. I noticed when I had the valves out that the exhaust valve in particular was pretty pitted around the area where it's supposed to seal, about 10 degrees or so. I did my very best to grind it in somewhat, but I decided this time around to do it right and order both valves, the intake and exhaust, and some grinding paste, and do a proper valve job and grind them into place to make sure that they would seal 100%. Any diesel engine is basically a big air pump, so to speak, so the more leaks you can find and eliminate, the better your compression will be. That's why I decided to order a full new set of piston rings and the correct tool to put them on without damaging them. That, however, is going to be content for another episode, along with running a full service on the engine, including changing out the thermostat, the impeller for the raw water cooling system, most importantly how to properly adjust the valves after you take the head off and put in a new gasket. That's very important. Draining out the fuel, changing all the filters, and once she fires up and we get her warmed up, we'll do an oil change. If you enjoyed today's episode, please give us a like, or even better yet, subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put that little alarm bell sign on so that you will be notified whenever we release new footage. If you want to support our production and help us to make more videos, you can find us on Patreon and become part of the crew. We left you the link down in the description box. Take good care of yourself and stay safe out there, and we hope to see you next time on Sailing Good Old Boats.